authenticity. In the years I've been doing comedy, I've been trying to work to a point where as much of me as possible is displayed on the stage. However exaggerated or ridiculous, because like any of the local comics that are watching this that have seen me, any of the Greenville comics, some Asheville comics, they know you may have seen I am belligerent and aggressive on stage if I get off track, if they're not with me or somebody's being a rude piece of shit, like then I will dial in on that because I can't
start yelling.
Yes, I will. I will start yelling, and I've learned over the years there is a way to do that. Like you can yell at a room, and you can make it work if they don't believe you're actually angry at them, or if it's just it's a very like walking on eggshells trying to make that type of thing work, but it's the only way I can express myself fully on, like, it's like I'm trying to make me work within the parameters of comedy as much as possible, and it's not easy all the time.
You feel like you can kind of do it in a way where they know it's like still kind of cartoony, like you're angry, but it's a little bit Looney Tunes,
and that
anger.
is exactly like the terminology I use. That's the way I think about it, is like cartoonish anger, to where it's like, oh, like if they don't get it at the start of me yelling about something, at the end they'll be like, oh, he's doing a thing. And it's like I've learned to cut it off completely 180 into calm chill mode from a 10, go from a 10 to a 2. And that very visually like psychologically implants in them like, oh, he's fucking around, he's playing, oh, he's not a psychopath,
because you were able to be calm right after being so angry. I think dynamics, that's something I'm working on too. I've been like going back, I'm watching like Patrice O'Neal and people I've loved the whole time, and noticing that he'll start a bit like and introduce the idea and people lean in, and then by the end he's like yelling, and then the next bit he's like back down. It's like there's this whole just dynamics, you know, the dynamics of it. Do you feel like you had to like learn that? Were there times like early on where you feel like you horrified people and couldn't get them back?
Absolutely.
Like, okay, now I know where that line is.
100%. When I started comedy in 2012, the first three times I went to Mike, I thought liquid courage, right? Just like, you know, that's what you do. You have a couple drinks, you loosen up. I don't drink. I'm not a drinker. That's not my thing. So 3 beers in and a shot of wild turkey, I'm out of fucking control. And I'm in my work uniform from Subway, and I'm just berating the room about how people don't know how to read anymore.
I mean, that sounds hilarious.
Sure.
It sounds like...
From a comic's perspective,
right.
Very hilarious. The audience was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? What's happening here?
But the comics probably were like, who's this new guy?
I was met with resistance and... camaraderie at the same time. Like it's an interesting dynamic, but definitely something I've had to learn is like how to play with those dynamics of up and down and back and forth, and like really telegraphing to the room that I know what I'm doing. I do a lot of fourth wall breaks. Like I will talk about shit on stage where I see comics' faces and they're like, you're not supposed to talk about how this is going badly because of X, Y, and Z. But it's like, you know, or going well because of X, Y, and Z. But it's like, you know,
you can do it. You can land it.
It's funny to me to look at a crowd and be like, you understand that like this is just mass manipulation. The best comics are the people who can psychologically manipulate a group of people the best. That's all it is. Or I'll talk about how it's an ego stroke. And you know, at the core of it, you know, you, me, all the comics at home, fucking you go to an open mic because you decide that what you have to say is important somehow. It's funny, it's good, it needs to be viewed by other people because you're special. I'm still working on that too, and like I want with each year to get more to like it's only weird shit I could say. And I remember coming out of the gate trying that and being like, I don't have enough skill at joke and performance writing to do that yet. But now I'm trying to come back to like
I almost feel like you do kind of. I needed to like just do one-liners for a while. And
Yeah.
what is a setup on a punchline?
Yeah.
You know, but then it's like, yeah, you want to transcend that and just get to. I think, yeah, some of the best comics do break the rules. Like the things you're not supposed to do. It's like, well, that's one-on-one level.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do these things, but
Sure.
then. Yeah, it's fun to watch somebody do all the wrong shit, and then it's hilarious.
Yes, it still works.
It has
Like
its own punchline in that.
Like I look at comedy like a parallel skateboarding, in that it is an individual art form where you build and develop your own skill set by yourself without the help of anybody else, and there technically aren't rules. There isn't a guide that you can go look up somewhere that says this is how you do stand-up comedy. That's not real.
Yeah.
Like obviously there's stage etiquette and theater etiquette that like you learn over time, and you figure out, oh, these are things you like everybody does on stage because people have been performing on stage for 1,000 years and these things work the best way. But as far as like what you're doing creatively, you can do whatever the fuck you want as long as it's funny.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a comedian, one of our, like, he's been around for like a year or two, Isaac, and he's one of those people that like he's like, hey, and he kind of like, he does like part of his comedy. I mean, he's got great jokes, but part of it is he's doing all the things you're not supposed to do as a performer. It's like be open, project confidence, and it's like that. It's like you can subvert expectations
100%,
and that can work too. And it's interesting to just figure out what you can get away with and what you can't. You know, I think that's part of it too. It's like you want to keep expanding your tool set, but then it's like I can only be me. You know, like there's years early on where you're following somebody that's like doing all the jumping around, and you're like, maybe I should jump around and try. It's like, no,
don't do that.
It's just a bad impression. Now I'm going to bomb even worse. So that's what I like about it. Is like, what is it that I can? What's the weirdness in me that can, like, I want them all to like me, but also I'm trying to figure out if like you need to find an audience or I don't know. Did you do other, like you mentioned skateboarding? Did you do other like music or skateboarding or theater or anything before stand up?
So in my high school years, I did skateboarding as well as I could until I broke my knee doing a stationary pop shove it, if you know the terminology.
Damn.
Still got a screw right there. If you look, you can watch it.
Dang.
Move around.
Is a metal screw in there?
It's plastic. It's like a sheetrock screw.
That makes sense.
But it's like and alongside comedy, in a band, we're on a hiatus right now called the Nasty Hooks. You can look us up on Bandcamp and SoundCloud and Spotify and YouTube.
Put some links
and
down there.
started with another comic in Greenville. He's moved to Augusta, Georgia, so like we're not able to like get together and write music and make music as much anymore. So we're on a hiatus until we can figure that out properly.
What's the like? Do you guys do a laptop, or do you actually both, like one's a drummer and one's a guitar? Or?
So Christian Winkler is the other comic, and he is extremely good at Fruity Loops. Like when Fruity Loops came out in the 2000s and everybody was like fucking with that at home trying to make their own songs.
Oh yeah.
And they got bored with it after like a year, 6 months or whatever. He didn't. He kept doing it for like 10 years. So he's really good at building songs in Fruity Loops, and he also plays guitar, bass, keyboards, and drums. I don't play anything except for my fat fucking mouth. But you know, I'd put in for like melody and stuff. Like I'd have opinions about things that should get put here or there, and like the construction of the song, and most of the lyrics, or at least 60% of the lyrics. But really just we get stoned and fucking make stupid songs.
Are you like singing melodies? You just yelling? Like what kind of what's your vocal approach?
It's all over the place. Cuz like I'm not a good singer per se, but I can do like mockery singing, if that makes sense. Like I could do like an impression of a style, and it's fun, and like I'm not hitting notes, but it's like I don't have any technical instruction. Like I've not been taught anything. I don't know any vocal tricks or anything. I just know how to be a goofy asshole.
Yeah. Do you feel like is it like the same voice? I'm super fascinated by, I was singing and writing songs for a long time before comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like I'm kind of been trying to get my talking voice to where my singing musical voice. Do you view them as like the same guy, or do you feel like I don't know.
That's an interesting question because like since high school, since I was a kid, I've messed with funny voices. I've played around with funny voices and just being goofy in that way. And I do have like a couple like characters, like this is their voice, this is what they sound like, this is how they think like, and like
for comedy or for music,
for
just like
whatever,
just being silly,
just whatever, like comedy, music, like they've crossed over there. I don't generally do silly voices on stage for the most part. Like generally, if I'm doing a voice on stage, I'm doing something like this because we live down in the butt crack of the asshole, and I just because of the region we're in, it's very fun for me to like sink into that guy, and say crazy shit because like that guy is right over there. He's at the Ingles, like he's everywhere.
And he's funny, like
no, he's funny, and he doesn't know why. Because he's a fucking idiot. Like there's a lot of that around. But as far as like. I've found characters in a way that like I just started doing a bit at some point in time and I hadn't pre-planned or messed with the voice or anything, and it's just like I start saying goofy funny stuff and then it just kind of sticks and it's like this character that's this character now.
The character emerges after usually like, oh, there's enough funny things that were said in this voice to where there's like a guy that you can kind of switch into. I mean, I noticed that watching comedians too, that like on TV, and that people usually have a few, they haven't named them as such, but there's a few different voices, like the angry guy or the old dude or whatever, and the voices are careful too, because like now it's like, it's just in Asheville, you're like, if people are seeing this as like the gay voice, that's problematic, but it's like, you do want to switch your voice sometimes. It's like, what are the rules for that? You're like, how liberal is this room? Like, what are they gonna
What's gonna happen if I start being too silly? I have a character, Leonard, that has a speech impediment, and he's not developmentally disabled, but
that's good.
He doesn't read so good, and he doesn't think the same way as everybody else, and I learned, this was much earlier on in doing comedy, but I learned that maybe characters is a little bit of a playing with fire type of thing on stage if you're not fully confident in it.
Which is what's so great about it, too, because you're like, ooh, is this going to work? Or
like I had the idea of bringing out Leonard to read from American Psycho, like just an excerpt of American Psycho. I was like, I'm going to take my 5 minutes and just do something super weird and crazy. And so I'm reading as Leonard. He doesn't read very well. Bret Easton Ellis, American Psycho, mispronouncing all these things, and then just flipped it open to a random spot and started reading.
Oh, that's great. You don't even know which page is
one side of the room is pissing their pants. They're loving it.
Yeah.
On the other side of the room, there's a guy like this.
I'm trying to get more into that because I think that's an idea that comes up on here too, is that it's like kind of more fun when somebody's mad. Like when 100% of the people are enjoying it, it probably is kind of hack at that point, because it's
absolutely.
Like it is the 1985
it's
suit guy.
Low-hanging fruit, it's that
if you're laughing your ass off and then there's like one guy that's like furious, that's kind of more fun.
Absolutely. If some of the room is not enjoying what you're doing, but most of the room is, then you're probably close to on to something.
Yeah, that's like the best place, I think. And then if 100% gets on board, it's like we lost something there. I don't know if that's not really my brand, but that's probably what I like the most, is when somebody's like taking enough massive risks or upsetting somebody enough to where there's some palpable hatred, just a dash of like tension or unsafeness.
Sure.
Like I keep it pretty safe, but I mean, when it starts to feel unsafe, if somebody can navigate that, that's just like a true thrill.
There's definitely been times where I thought, okay, my engaging with this person in this way might result in a physical altercation later. That might happen. But also, sir, I need you to shut the fuck up. Like So I very much different to my day-to-day life. If there's a microphone in my hand, I will say and do almost anything. I'm never I'm not hateful. I'm not trying to start a fight with somebody.
Yeah.
But I will try to get a rise out of somebody or shut them down and make them look stupid. And it's mostly when I'm interrupted, when I'm trying to do a thing. Like, I'm very distractible on stage. So I try in a comedic way to make sure everybody understands, like, if you go this direction, it's going to go this direction, and you be ready for that or not. Because like I'll bomb for 10 fucking minutes being an asshole. I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter.
I bet the other comics like that, though, because I think that even if you do bomb, but you make it clear that you have to respect the stage. I think I've seen that happen before, where like the people after you are like, thank you, for dying on that sword. Because if you just allow it to happen, if you don't address it, then that kind of makes the whole show.
It'll get worse.
It makes everyone appear weak.
It will get worse. Like, if a show starts and a comic does light crowd work, and then the next comic does a little bit of heavier crowd work, and then the comic after that has no crowd work, the comic after that oftentimes is going to be in a situation of having to be like, hey guys, but hey, I've got all this ready to go. I need you. And most comics, I've noticed, will just try to power through. They'll try to ignore it and power through. I, as an individual, can't. I just can't. It will distract me, and it will ruin the jokes I'm trying to do. So I've got to do something else. And I end up
I love it. I think
screaming at people.
You gotta do I mean, that's something I'll die on that hill, is that you have to, if you're trying to power through and not address the reality of the room, it doesn't matter how good your material are, people are gonna be like, this is a lie.
Yeah.
Like,
it's weird.
You have to address distracting things, because otherwise you could be at home watching it. The whole point of the show is like, this is a real person doing a thing.
Yes. And that's a point I make quite a bit when I'm interrupted, is this is not a hologram.
Yeah.
This is not an automaton. You're not watching the fucking TV. I'm a man with feelings. And you gotta, like, I'm trying to do a thing.
Yeah.
Momentum is real. Like, you gotta get the energy right, or it's gonna go bad for everybody. And like, in some situations it's correctable, in some situations it's not. But it goes back to that manipulation thing, the mass psychology, like hive mind. The best shows happen when the whole audience is hanging on your words because they are letting you think for them. They're just along for the ride, and it works out great. But if there's people that are drinking, especially like drunks, it's the worst sometimes. Like, especially like around here, there's a lot of bar shows, a lot of shows in restaurants where they serve alcohol. And all it takes is one person that's 3 sheets to the wind, and you're battling that shit the whole time.
I mean, that's mostly what it is at the level that I'm at. I mean, it's the dialed in room with the great sound and a well-behaved audience, and the venue is going to come to the table and have your back.
Few and far in between.
Yeah, that's it's amazing, but it's like, usually it's like some family that didn't even know there was gonna be a comedy show right in front of you.
Hey, hell yeah, man! And it's just like, dude,
that's tough when they're into it. That's the mistake I made a lot early on, is being like, why don't you shut the fuck up? And everybody goes, whoa, this guy's having fun.
He's loving it.
You're the mean one. And then then you're just done. So it's like, how do they're having a great time, and they're trying to let you know that, but they're fucking up the show. How do you let them know without being an asshole?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can, one of the performers that can be an asshole and still be likable, but I think that's a rare skill. If I go asshole or mad, like, it doesn't really make it's like, whoa.
Well, and I think sometimes with stuff like that, it very much depends on how you look. You look like a nice guy.
Yeah.
I am a nice person, but I've learned that I look scary to people. People expect me to be a prick. I was in the grocery store the other day.
That people just decide that.
Yeah, no, I have resting prick face. I don't know. Like, I was in the grocery store the other day, and I got my basket, I got my couple of items, I'm headed to the checkout, and I see a man coming towards me with his cart, and I see him perceive me and then be like, oh, I got to move my cart this way. And I'm just like, all right, dude, cool. I just fucking look like this.
Yeah.
Like, but what do you do?
I bet. I mean, maybe the grass is always greener. I agree with everything you said, but I feel like being a little scary or edgy is better from my perspective. Because like the last thing I want to be is like, I'm the lovable dad.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be at your picnic tomorrow. You already know me. It's like, well, that's the standard flavor. Like, I mean, there's the maniac on the edge of brink of sanity. I mean, that's always. I mean, that's a weird thing in comedy where the person who just staggered out the street, had the craziest day of their life, can actually perhaps murder harder than all the years you spent working on material. It's not going to be consistent. They're not going to like be bookable or be able to do clean or any number of things. But being a little scary, or I mean, that as you're walking up there, I feel like that's like good.
It definitely allows for a certain amount of you get wiggle room. Because people don't want to engage with that.
Yeah.
So it's like
they're not going to heckle you quite as easily. Like,
right.
Oh, this dude might murder me, so I'll just heckle the next like.
Well, and outside of that, even like comics and stuff, like I can be left alone a lot of times. Like I don't have to be in the fray of people talking about whatever bullshit they're talking about, because I can just be like, whatever. And he was like, oh, Travis is over there. And that.
You mean off stage or on stage?
Either or.
Yeah.
Really. Like it's like.
It's just kind of like an outsider. Like, I mean, which again, I think like that's the perfect. I want to see the outsiders give their perspectives. That's why like so many people are homeschooled or autistic or whatever.
Sure.
Is it's just like, that's going to probably give you a leg up.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just like, I'm the everyman. It's
right.
Like, well, we got,
We got plenty of those.
Yeah. I mean, if you can look like the everyman and then start saying really weird shit, that can be cool too. Because you're kind of, you walk up there and people are like, yeah, fuck this guy. He's not going to say anything interesting. And then you start getting Steve Martin or whatever.
Yep. Subverting expectations. Because I love to experiment on stage, and I will, I'll have times where it's like, you know what? Today, as a point, I am not going to yell at anybody. I'm not even going to get aggressive.
I love
I'm going to be calm.
Because that's a trick that works for you and it's up your sleeve, and it can be a crutch at a point where you're like, who am I without that superpower?
Well, it goes back to like the characters and stuff. I don't incorporate them into stand-up very much because of your Larry the Cable Guys and your Andrew Dice Clays. And it's like...
Yeah.
Maybe some character you come up with. Like I had a preacher bit that I did for a while where I would even dress the part occasionally, but get up there and start putting on a sermon type thing. And it's like it went too well to the point where I had to be like, I got to stop doing this because you'll get pigeonholed.
Yeah, people are like
if that,
do the
if
preacher
that
guy
picks up. And it's popular enough, and what do you do then?
You're like, oh, people like him so much more than Travis, who I am. No, fuck.
Yeah, you're stuck as that guy. And then, 50 years later, you're Andrew Dice Clay walking around, and the actual Andrew is gone. He's not, there's remnants of him in there, but this guy's Dice 24/7, and it's like, that's fucking obnoxious.
Yeah, but like that's the stadiums. Want that, and then there's like the 12 people that know the real guy, so it's like, I wouldn't know what that's like, but it does sound problematic,
right?
And I feel like the algorithm, like I dabble in the onlines, I'll put up a reel of this, and I try to like, I'm not sure that any of it does me any good, but I do just try to put up little content, and I feel like the algo wants you to be the preacher. That's like my limited understanding is if you like had a channel and you were just like, I'm the crazy preacher guy, like you would leap out of the scrolling more than like, I'm just a dude talking about the aspects of my life.
Do you care if I vape in here?
I know you can vape in here.
Sick.
So it's like, that's a problem with that too. It's like, but then becoming a character. I don't know. So when you say you experiment on stage, like, do you have a process for like, I always like to ask people, like, do you, some people are like, I write it out by hand and then I get up and try to talk to other people are like, I talk to myself in the car, I do a voice memo. Like, do you have you get the idea for whatever, like, I think this could be comedy. And then eventually you're miking it and then just like maybe in the act. Like, what is that?
The The majority of my
journey?
writing happens on stage. I do a lot of like trying to find the veins and directions while I'm performing. And it's the same dynamic as like the same reason that I get distracted by people whispering and murmuring and flip out on people is the same reason that I write mostly on stage. Like I'll get a premise driving the car or in the shower or taking a shit, and I'll make a note of that. Just a single bullet point of one word or phrasing. Sometimes more of it will come to me and I'll write it out. But
you give an example of what the bullet would be, like just like dogs or something.
Okay. Recently, I've been doing a joke where I go, they call me Butterguts because my shit's so smooth. And that was kind of the first inkling of that premise. Like I literally worked backwards from the phrase Butterguts. Like I thought of the phrase Butterguts.
You just
and
thought
was
of it in your mind, or you said it to somebody?
It just popped into my brain, and I was like, huh. That's a funny coupling of words, Butterguts.
It is funny. Yeah.
It just sounds nice.
You're special. You should be called Butterguts.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah, sure. But see, the second part of the joke goes into me graphically describing shoving sticks of butter up my ass, which nobody expects from the first part of the joke. And it's a complete right turn, and I just lean into that nastiness to a point that has people like, what the fuck is going on?
And that comes on stage.
I figured that out on stage.
When it's like the energy and the laughter, and it just pops into your head.
The energy of the room and the audience entirely dictates how I'm feeling and whether or not I can like find some shit or find a direction or whatever. Like the majority of the meat of my comedy I've found by just bullshitting around on stage.
And then like you record it and then go back, or you just kind of remember like, when I was shoving it up my ass, they laughed. So
I audio record almost all of my all of my sets. Mm-hmm. I audio record, but I don't video like I should. It's like I understand my own physicality enough that it's not a high priority for me, but I should do it just to like look at little things and be like, oh, you're leaning forward too much.
I should too. I tape them, but I hardly ever watch them. It's so painful.
Yeah, I listen to them in preparation for like a big paid show. Like at Mike's, I'll go in a lot of times being like, I don't know what the fuck I'm about to do. I don't know what material's about to happen. I might have a vague premise that I want to like remember that thing and just go down that road. But for like a paid show, I will several days before like go through and listen to a bunch of sets and try to pick out the phrasings and directions because jokes will go entirely different directions from set to set depending on how I'm feeling and what's going on and what I fucking think of in the moment. Yeah. And then, but for like a paid show, I'll actually have like a set list where it's like, I mean to go from this joke to this joke to this joke to this joke, but I also leave room for fucking around in between there in case I get distracted or something goes weird or whatever. Like I'm very reactive to the room.
Yeah. Do you feel like I love that because I think an audience can feel on some level whether it's happening in the moment with them or whether they can tell when you're too memorized or something like that.
Yes.
And I don't like that as much. Do you feel like when you switch from, there's like the mic you it's all just completely in the moment, and then there's like the paid show you where you kind of have a plan? Can you get to the same gear when you have to have like I always find like whenever I know what I'm doing, it's like more consistent, but it's never going to be quite as like
it's not as
high.
fun.
Yeah, the climax of when you stumble onto it for the first time, they know, the hive mind knows in some level. And then when you go, that was great, and then you try to recreate it, it's always just, I find it's never quite.
Yeah, a good
real
example of that happened to me recently. Amanda Neal out of Greenville runs Swanson Squeezebox.
Yeah.
Which is it's a super fun show. And
the one with the band and the buckets.
Yes. Yes. So it's a showcase show with bucket pulls, kind of in the style of Kill Tony, but not mean in that way. Not like a lot of people aren't climbing over each other to get in there, but it is a good room to go and work. And I went and did a bucket pull, and that bucket pull, I was like, whatever, I'm gonna take a single line of a joke because you only get 3 minutes on the bucket pulls, and because I fuck around with music, there's a live band, so like literally going up there, or before the show even, I was like, you guys fuck around? Like, can you just fuck around? Is that something you guys do? And they were like, yeah. So that's what I did for the bucket pull, and that went so great. Like, I did a stupid ass little song about microplastics, and I would I would go on the song and then stop and do a little bit of the joke and then go back into the song and then stop and do a little, just back and forth. And I tried to recreate that energy for when I got booked to headline that show, and it didn't go bad.
Yeah.
But by my standards, it was subpar.
Yeah.
I thought about it too much. And
Yeah.
like, you get in your head about stuff too much, and you're like, okay, so it's going to go like this, and then I'm going to do this,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to do this. And it's like, had I instead
Yeah.
went in there and been like, well, I got this handful of jokes I want to do, and I'm going to fuck around, and that's all, like, it would have went much better.
Yeah.
Like, it went fine. It wasn't terrible.
But part of your spirit or mind or whatever is like trying to remember the map in your mind.
Yes.
So it's not 100% like tight, like no net, just walking the tightrope.
Exactly.
That thing, that's like a thing that I've like the whole, like since music, like I do the little demo of the song the day I wrote it. And like, then you go to the studio or you try to record it into a fancy mic. There's something about the first birth of it. It's just so magical. And I don't know if that's like, if I had acting skills, like I've often wondered if I guess actors, that's the whole thing, is that you access emotions. It's not real, but you really can make your chemistry and you're actually crying or whatever.
Right.
Like so I don't know if like maybe some comedians have that skill, but yeah, it's so hard to like, you're like, oh, I got this great new bit, and then it just like goes down from there. It's like the fucking first time was the best. So I don't know. Maybe we're entering an age now where it's like the specials becoming this old fashioned thing, and everybody's just putting up the first time clip.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that would be a good reason to tape your sets, which is a whole other can of worms. But like, if you'd had the camera up that first time, for the song on the microplastics, you're like, well, this is it. Just throw this out.
Right.
Like there's.
Got audio of it, but who's that for on the internet? Who like, that's not good for anybody. There is definitely an element, like,
them days are gone. It used to, you could do audio like 5-10 years ago. Now it's like, no, it has to be a clip.
Yeah, 100%.
And it has to be like 30 seconds.
Well, and those clips are trying to capture this thing that, like, I personally believe that, like, live comedy is in and of itself like a living thing. It's alive.
Yeah.
It's got its own thoughts and feelings, and some stuff cannot be recreated. Some stuff can only, like, it happened that night, it happened right there, and that's it. You're not going to be able to do it again because the same people aren't in the room, the energy isn't the same, you're not in the same place, and that's a big part of what I enjoy about comedy. I
think that's why comedy has taken over the culture, is because it is one of the only things that's like that. Whereas like everything else is like just captured, digitally stamped, and the being in the room for that. It is like, it's that hive mind, that's the way entertainment was until the last 100 years.
Right.
There was no recording.
Yeah.
So it was, every time it was like, this is it, you were here or you weren't. So comedy is like one of the last places where that you go in that room, and it's
that thing exists.
Yeah, it's like, even if you don't know it's in your DNA, you're kind of hungry for like a real shared experience that's messy and sloppy. I mean, that's kind of what I like about this too, is that when I started doing this, I would edit these. Yeah. But now I'm like, I mean, if you could edit something out if you need to, but the sloppy rawness, I think, is like more important than ever now.
Yeah.
Because you can fix anything with a computer. You can make yourself look so much better than you are. So people are seeking out messy, sloppy, raw.
The masses yearn for authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity.
They want the realness of something, and it's not really available in most facets of your life for the most part. Everything is on a screen or a list or an agenda, or it's politically charged. Whether it's this, that, or the other, like everything is manufactured and just forced into people's faces, and it's like the new good shows are the new good shows, and the new bands that are good are the new bands that are good, and we go to the thing where the thing happens, and we have fun because that's what we like to do. That's why there's 57 breweries between here and Greenville. Like it's you know, everything feels very plastic and manufactured.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I had something in there I was going to respond to, but it's gone now. That's a lot of that. A lot of that. This is what that is too. Yeah, I feel like it's it used to, like when I started doing like band stuff in high school, like it was really important to get the album, and it's like, you know, it was important to tape the special for a long time, and I think it's still good to say I did a special. That shows that I did a thing that
but there's
was
only 5 million specials now
released per day. Yeah, so it's like nobody gives a fucking shit, and then your scroll, every bad first open mic set is on there, so it's like the moment in the room really is like at such a premium now. I mean, it always was important, but it's like, yeah, just if you were to chart the amount of content or things you could watch, you know, over our lifetime, I mean, it's like, it would be like,
oh yeah, no, it's almost astronomical.
Yeah, it's like not even like you can't even comprehend. Like it's just, so it's like trying to capture the perfect version of your joke so people can watch it later. It's like each day that passes, that becomes more irrelevant. Yeah. Whereas like the authenticity, I think we're missing that more and more because of the other things. So yeah, I think like just embrace the sloppy moments.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you know, if as far as like a career and trying to get booked and that, like you want to have the digital stuff and the followers and all that fucking bullshit. But I mean,
it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because,
where do you stand with all that? The algo games, the endless pain.
Well, it's like I never really engaged with it. I haven't. Like for many years, I didn't have a Facebook. I didn't engage with Facebook whatsoever. I was like, this is bullshit. This doesn't serve me as an individual.
Yeah, I'm only on it so I can get booked on comedy shows.
And that's the reason I started it up, was to sign up for mics when there was an online sign up in Greenville for a while, and I wanted to not miss the sign up so I could go to the mic. But at this stage, I probably should be posting more comedy stuff than I do. Right now, my algorithm is strictly genocide. It's like I'm just sharing things that people do not want to see, and doom
scrolling.
Yeah, a decent amount of doom scrolling, but you know, it's bad out there. Like it's real bad.
Do you address, is your comedy like, is that kind of like that's that and then I'm silly on stage, or do you kind of like try to find punchlines? I mean, those are hard punchlines.
No, they are.
You bring up horrific, painful things, and people go, "Oh, you got to have an A++ punchline at the end."
They do, and I've been struggling for like the past 2 years to really try to incorporate that sort of thing into my comedy without just ruining everybody's time, because the aim is to always be funny. It doesn't matter what my personal beliefs are or what I think people should know or whatever, but I lean into absurdism as far as the style of comedy that I do, and we live in a dystopian hellscape, and that's what else do you fucking look at all the time, you know? Like that's Mine's
90s nostalgia. Mine has found out it's like the interview with Kurt Cobain that you didn't like, trying to, you know.
Yeah.
It knows that I want to like remember when maybe things were still bad, but I didn't know yet.
Yeah. Well, my algorithm's just showing me dismembered individuals, like teaching me about sound weapons and just all the horrors, and atrocity. I got my finger on the pulse of horrors and atrocities.
I know, like Louis, you know, disgraced, canceled comedian Louis. He has said that all of his best bits start with it. He just brings up something like that, and people go, "Oh," and then it's just real bad and uncomfortable, and he leaves, and he figures out how to find a punchline on the other side of that like it's a necessary part of it, is bringing up some heavy shit, not getting the laugh, and then figuring out, you know, he was saying to him, like the holy grail of jokes is like you take people to a place where they're really uncomfortable, but you go through that together, and then you do somehow laugh, at the end of it, which I think probably is the most advanced level.
Sure.
And when I go to mics, I feel like a lot of what I see new comics doing is they're trying to do that right away.
And that's not
and
possible.
And you just make everyone
the skill
really
set
tense.
is not there. And there's something to be said for personal experience and your perspective and your point of view, your lived experience, and speaking out of turn. Like, I am a white dude from South Carolina that, like, there's certain stuff that's not happened to me, that doesn't affect me personally, that maybe I could come up with a good joke about it. I don't think so. There's a whole gambit of things that I won't even touch, because for what? For what reason am I trying to talk about child molestation or whatever? Like, that's like they're new comics will do this heavy-handed thing where they're trying to ham-fistedly just punch at things that are these huge controversial, upsetting topics. That's like, what are you doing that for?
My theory is that they have enough awareness to know that something is happening in the room. It's like when I say these things, it's like, but it's not good. I mean, it's like but it's like you're getting a reaction, you know? And I also blame Kill Tony, which I don't totally hate, but I think that I've noticed the post-COVID waves, especially like the younger bros, are like very much just like rape, abortion, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, dude.
And it's just like, those topics are like suicide. It's like people in this room have experienced suicide, you know, like you really got to do it in a way that's like empathetic. And I mean, and that's so advanced. And I don't know if anybody ever needs to hear me like do race material. I mean, I'm open to it, but this face, like this privilege, like probably not, you know, probably not gonna work.
Who's it for?
Yeah, right.
You know, it's
so I can like pat myself and I talked about race tonight.
It's very masturbatory.
It was bad. You made everybody uncomfortable. It wasn't good.
Yes. The amount of times people like just the word rape in a comedy set.
Oh yeah, I think it's worse than retarded. I think it's the R word.
It changes the vibe of the whole room. And it's like, if you don't have something quick, or if because that the psychological manipulation, the audience needs to believe that you know what you're doing and that you know what you're doing is going to be funny. Like, they need to look at you and understand, like, oh, this is going somewhere. But with stuff like that, they'll just pull back. They'll pull back and tighten up, and then there you are having to bring them back in and loosen them up.
And bringing them back from that, you got to be like Richard Pryor or something at that point.
It's like, and is it worth it? That's the thing. Is like, is the laugh that you would get off of that worth it?
Yeah.
A lot of times, no. A lot of times you ruin the vibe for the next 20 minutes. And
that's unforgivable too. I mean, I do unforgivable things all the time, so it's fine. I can forgive the unforgivable, but it's like it's this night in the show's more than you. Like, it feels like it's all about you, but there's people that set up chairs and the microphones, and there's people going on after you. So if you're sending this ripple through the people just get up and leave afterwards because they're so offended, and then they go tell people not to go to that place because it's just awful. And it happens so often.
It does,
and I've done it. You know, I don't think lately. I don't think recently, but that, again, I live in fear. My greatest fear is that like, so I did something like that, and then I went home and I was like, it went well. You know, like, it's like, no, fucking tell me. Like, pull me aside, let me know.
Self-awareness.
Especially as I get older and I see like older people, you just like your brain just forms, you know, and this self-awareness needs to keep growing. Constant inner work and self-analysis and self-awareness, and there, as far as I'm concerned, there's not enough of that at this level, at my level of comedy. I refer to it as the shit tier. It's the real comedy. Level. That's the real level.
It's
celebrities. I don't relate to if you're doing it in the round, and you're talking about your car collection and your cold plunge tanks. Like, that's my theory, is that this is more interesting.
Oh, sure.
And some of that might be I just have to
definitely. This is more interesting. Whether it's as good or not is subjective.
Yeah, but the authenticity,
absolutely.
I mean, we're not. There's no reason to do it.
No,
besides just. Yeah.
But it's like, how do you get better as a comic if you're not super critical of yourself and self-analytical and like hyper aware? Like, how do you progress if you're not critiquing, like, I hate most of my performances, regardless of how they go. And I'm my own worst critic, but it's like I've gotten better from being that way. Like I will throw away jokes that don't, like, if I can't work it out in like 4 tries, fuck that. I throw it away. For what?
4's a lot. I think that's good. But then sometimes maybe next year.
Sure, I'll
like,
revisit.
Yeah, you'll have like some new thing and you're like, wait a second. There's like that one part from last year.
Can go together.
Yeah, or you bring back something from like a few years ago and then you can make it funny. You're like, I think I've gotten better.
Yes.
I think I know how to say that now.
Absolutely.
And then it's like, it was only funny that one night. And then it's like, oh, fuck, never mind.
Yeah.
it's just a bad bit.
It's just enough. This is funny to me and nobody else. And that's okay.
I mean, for me, it's like once you get into it, you're kind of warped too. It's like it's like as a musician, you can't really hear what a song sounds like to a normal person anymore too. But if you're having a great time, I'm probably having a good time too.
Yeah.
If you've been doing it for some years and you're having fun, like that's almost like I say, like I would rather watch like one of my favorite comedians have a really hard bad set where they're like just filmed a special and they're trying new stuff and the audience, like, to me it's like I would rather watch them just struggle than just come out and press play on that. Like, I'm filming the special next week and I'm just running it.
Yeah.
Like, you ever see people live and then you see the special when it comes out and it's not as good, like the polished.
Sure.
It's just there's something that, like, the messiness is gone.
Well, and a lot of, like, it seems like a lot of the pros have taken to like the Rogan style of special filming, where they'll film it 4 times and then splice all those together.
And
it's
auto tune it.
That's kind of bullshit, really. Like, it's kind of bullshit. Like, your special ought to be one singular solid performance. It doesn't matter that you're running the same set. You're doing it in different venues or at the same venue different times.
And you can feel it when you watch it. Can't you feel it? You're like, that didn't feel... Like, I feel like they edit them too, like, it's almost like the modern attention span is like, doesn't breathe. So it's like, just give me a fucking minute to like finish laughing at that. I feel like, but there's a lot of like artificial, it's like auto-tune on vocals. It's like my favorite singers are a little out of key. Yeah. That's what's human about it. And now we're just in this hyper
non-human space.
Yeah, right. So I don't know if that's going to swing back or what. I mean, to me, like all the comedy shows I go to and perform on, for the most part, are very human. It's like just
it's kind of unavoidable.
Arguably not like it's like there's nothing like perfect about this.
Something's gonna go sideways for somebody.
We're in a kava bar.
Yeah,
no one's laughed. I haven't heard a laugh during anyone's set the whole time.
I gotta just take an aside about Asheville versus Greenville. Like, we might have a couple, like 1 or 2 kava spots that are pretty recent in showing up.
Yeah.
But I remember like 2 or 3 years ago coming up and doing a show at a kava bar and just being like, what the fuck is like, these people are here and they're smiling, but they're not here. And they're just, and it's like, bro, what a weird place to put a comedy show. Like, it's electric. Like, what it's such a strange thing. Like, comedy gets shoved into any venue that already has a PA or any venue that will allow it to happen. So you end up in these scenarios where it's like, all right, I'm about to do 5 minutes on prolapsed assholes. Enjoy your chicken wings. It's so weird.
Here we are. Let's all just try to, I go back and forth on whether like I should be doing more or less of those, because sometimes, when I get to have a good show, like you get like one of those like a real shows, and you're like, fuck, why couldn't my family have been at this one? Because they came and they were like, that was not a show, But it's like, how do you like? I think if I did do like great shows all the time where they laughed when they were supposed to, like, I would atrophy and I'd become like really diluted. But then it's like at some point you get to like the 10-year mark and you drive out to Charlotte and it's just like, you're like, this was a lot of gas and time. Like, what is because I think you got to reevaluate that the farther along you go. Because absolutely in your first years, like, do all the shittiest shows.
Yeah.
And I still you should have to do a shitty show like once a month, I think,
Sure.
or I don't know, a shitty mic or something like that.
It's important.
Because it does teach you to like what you're saying about yelling it, and just like you can pivot and just be like, all right, this is so bad that I'm going to push through the bad to good. And if you like got out of that for too long and then you went back to like you might have like atrophied on that skill.
It's like metal sharpens metal, right? Like you get soft.
Yeah.
You get soft if everywhere you go, everybody's just sniffing the farts out of your ass. Oh, you're so great.
Yeah.
That was so awesome.
It's
that
the
was
guy
so
from
good.
the they're just like, we know it's from the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything you say is
Well,
fun.
and that same dynamic, I think, has kind of led to the rise and fall of plenty of quote-unquote YouTube comedians, where it's like they get this big audience, but they've never performed on a stage doing open mic stand-up at all, ever.
Yeah.
And they have this locked-in audience that's just going to come and laugh at whatever the fuck they do. And they're going to sell out venues for a while, and then that's going to kind of wane as their audience realizes, oh, you're just doing your YouTube bits, and it doesn't really translate to stand-up, and this sucks.
Yeah.
And
like if you earn it that quickly and cheaply, you might lose it. I mean,
Sure.
I don't really know what it's like to have like an audience, but like,
right.
but I would like to think that if you earn it slowly and over time, that they might stay with you longer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'll take the 15-minute audience.
Sure. Absolutely.
At this point, I'm like, let's do it. You guys can come out, blow me up for a year, then leave. Like, I'll give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah. 15-minute at this stage, I don't necessarily disagree with that. Like
you've been doing it for a long time, so you have all the stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like you start the next
and
month.
That'd be the difference between me and you finding that opportunity and building that audience, and somebody who only has that online audience. Like it being alive, it is that translation from reels to the stage, TikTok to the stage. Like it's not the same thing, and it's why I struggle. I don't have an online presence. I haven't made anything to feed into the algorithm or build an audience because it feels so bullshit.
Yeah, it's not authentic.
All right, hold on, you guys.
Yeah.
And today I was doing a video about like, hey, I'm an asshole. Like it feels so gross and fake and weird.
Yeah.
And I feel like it reads on me immediately. Like people like how I don't know how to make the authenticity of my stage performances translate to the internet.
Yeah, I mean that was through music and all those communities before comedy, and now in comedy, like most of my favorite people are like that, where they're just like, that doesn't feel authentic to me, so I'm not gonna do it. It's like Cody, he never really posts anything. He's like, I posted about my special one time ever. Like that just doesn't. I'm feeding the part of me that makes the best quality comedy.
Yes.
And it's I don't know. Like I guess the culture is just at the place that it's at. I mean, maybe it's always been that way.
No, I don't think so.
It's gotten worse with the algo, but I mean, it's always been like, if you can walk in the room and sense who's got the power and schmooze them like this. Now it's gotten darker with the internet, but it's still kind of like how we started this conversation. We're like the skills of doing the job and the art, and then there's the Venn diagram between that and the skills of like networking and getting on shows. And I think probably the people that like, there's luck as well, but like fame, people that have a lot of success have like both. It's like that magical place in the middle. You can schmooze and you can network and manipulate, but then you're still, you can at least present as authentic. I don't know. Authentic is kind of maybe subjective even.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like you got something behind that. Like there's a skill set and a talent behind that.
Yeah.
Probably with the people that do the best, it is about 50-50 of like, well, yeah, I am a bullshit artist. I like to schmooze and I'll say whatever to your face, to hug you, shake your hand, whatever. We'll be all good. And then I'll go and actually do well. And like those things are married well together. But, it's tricky.
But a lot of the best songs, like I know people have written like the best songs I've ever heard, and it's like they're not, the best art usually doesn't get heard or seen.
No, absolutely.
And that's cool too. It's like, how do we get ourselves to the place where it's like, well, I did all this amazing art where I really expressed my voice and had a community and lived a life, but it never got me famous, so I wasted my time. Like I feel like I hear that sentiment too. It's like I'm like about to be 46, so I'm kind of like, I used to think that way, and now I'm like, well, this is it. I mean, it's just like going out to a mic and like having a great night kind of is it. Like even if you did get some huge audience and you're out on the road, like I'm sure those problems are just like were in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you get to have more money, but it's like then you have to follow your last special, and then like people will get up to a certain room size and then they'll start going back down. And it's like, the nice thing about being on this level is there really is kind of
nowhere to go from up from here,
right.
Like
it just kind of is. There's something about that where it's like, well, just do it to do it, like,
well, it's like the drive for fame, like that, the accolades and the attention and what, like, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to pay my bills
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Like if I could just if I could live the same way I live now
and not have to go to a job
and not have to. Well, I am unemployed right now. My wife subsidizes my slovenly existence.
Hell yeah.
Which, is all well and good for now, but eventually that's not going to be great, So it's like I would like to get work. I'd like to get gigs and work enough to pay my car note and keep the lights on and put in for groceries and.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're
Maybe
fine.
that'll help us. I'm getting a little stuffy.
Right. It is starting to warm up out here, but do I want to make it to television or movies? I don't think so. That feels. That feels gross. Do I want my comedy widely acknowledged as the best ever and all the people pay for it? Well, it's back to the ego thing. Sure, great. But it's like ultimately I want to be as funny as I could possibly be and the best performer I could possibly be and hopefully make ends meet through that process.
Yeah.
Is really all I want out of it.
That seems good. And I like the first part especially because it's like that that can be your hero's journey through life is just trying to get up and get better at it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it is kind of its own reward.
Kind of.
Because it's nice. Like I
don't disagree.
Yeah, like I went through like with music, I really tried to make it. So like I really do see comedy as like I have a job that's like interesting enough and it pays well and I can work from home and be flexible. And then like the comedy is like it's art and it's community and it's all those things. And but then sometimes the Asheville like visualize it and I'm like maybe I should be a little more like no, I'm to see myself like making my living from this.
Yeah.
But I don't see.
It's well, because like what,
like the lobby hang. I mean, there's nothing that sounds more draining and horrifying to me than like you having to do that. Like having an audience. Like every show I'm on, people go, "Oh, there's comedy. Let's go see who the people are that are like the idea that people be like Ryan Cox is written on this ticket, and where it's like." I don't know that I really accept that as like a reality, but then a part of me is like, well, maybe that's my problem. Is I need to start saying no. I do want to be on the ticket, and I'm scared to be brave enough to say I do want that. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm not sure how much I'm lying to myself.
There is a weird like internal psychology to that where it's like, well, I don't want to be a hack or a sellout or a big-headed asshole, but. It would be good to have like a fan base, to be able to say I have a fan base. If I could sell some T-shirts, like it's. but at the same time, it's like I want to do it how I want to do it. I want
totally.
I want to do my own thing and not have to compromise in that to make it work.
Yeah,
and it almost seems like inevitably to like level up in that way. Compromises are gonna have to be made. Definitely,
yeah.
And it's like it fucking sucks.
It's really rare that somebody is like the punk 100% true to their own self through it, and they still get a career out of it.
Yeah,
and there are those examples, and,
sure.
And we celebrate them. But yeah, more often than not, it's like you're gonna have to kind of like start laughing at people's shit that's not funny because they have power, or
you're gonna have to rub somebody's back.
Yeah. So it's like
and have to sit on somebody's lap,
and the whole point of like what's a great comedian is it's like it's real, it's honest, it cuts through that bullshit. But then I don't know. I haven't really had to worry about like being tempted into any of those
Yeah.
gigs.
Yeah, no,
Here's your private plane if you
Right.
just become a douchebag. But yeah,
I'd like to say I would deny that sort of thing if that type of opportunity comes around where it's like, all right, we'll just take your shoes off though. Yeah, you're hilarious. Slip them socks off. Let's take a look at them little piggly wigglies. And it's like, hey, you want to be on the show, don't you?
I guess if it's just my feet.
Yeah.
But then it becomes more than the feet.
It's always more than the feet.
You wake up a few years later and
can't look yourself in the eye in the mirror.
Yeah. It's hard enough now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Such a weird art form.
Yeah.
Such a weird business.
Yeah. I feel like, I love it as an art form, and I do feel like I have some understanding, but then the business aspect of it, I mean, just since I've started, it's changed so much. Like, I will open up for a headliner who's like, these influencers are fucking, I'm feeling it, man. Like, it's bad for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I wanted to like get where you are, but the rules are just changing so fast.
It's strange. It's very strange because of the algorithm, the digital landscape, the YouTube comics, the TikTokers, all of that, and the kids coming up who started their lives during the pandemic, and the kids who are attached to screens, kids that are getting raised by their Apple book tablet things or whatever. I don't have it. I don't know. I can't remember the name of
I
what those
know
are
what you
called.
mean.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is now, and that's, I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna be the one to stop it,
Right.
And also, like,
how could you?
Yeah, if I don't hook my kids up to the Matrix, maybe then they'll die because they didn't know the Matrix skills.
Right.
So it's like, fuck, I don't know. It's just a couple hours a day.
But then the Chat GPT, it's like reading things online about like college students now.
Oh yeah,
having to use Chat GPT to like get through their coursework because the course load is so heavy, but at the same time, it's their cognition is just suffering. And like, a couple of years, there's going to be just straight up illiterate motherfuckers running around, not like just en masse being like, computer, how does ketchup out of pants? Like and what do you do with that? What do you do with that? Because like I grew up reading books, like so it's strange, and it makes the audiences weird. Yeah. So it's like, where's it all gonna lead?
Yeah, because comedy is really like, I think it more than music. Like you can listen to a song from 50 years ago and be like, yeah, it still sounds pretty good. Mm-hmm. Mostly, sometimes, but like you listen to like Lenny Bruce or something, it's like, what's he even saying? Most people wouldn't even. So comedy is really like such a fleeting. That's what I love about it, and that's why I think leaning into the first time I do the joke might be the best is the best, because it's like a sketch. The comedian is painting a sketch of the fleeting sand sketch of right now, and that's what's so great about it. But then now we're operating in a culture that's like just it changes also, like that graph where it's like, when my dad and his dad, like, culture changed, but then my dad and me and then my kid, it's like the generation. Things change so rapidly in such a short amount of time that you're up there trying to paint that sketch, and you're like, "What is it? No. Well, where's the culture at today? Did I miss something that happened yesterday?" Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just,
and that makes it very difficult to be funny. Like, not to delve back into the horrors and atrocities and the dystopian hellscape and everything.
We can delve back in.
But there's so much awful shit happening so frequently and from all directions, regardless of what end of the political spectrum you're on or what you believe or don't believe. Everything's horrible all the time and we're not going to make it through. And it's like, how do you grab that and like
alchemize it into laughs?
Peanuts are that like there's so much bullshit comedy that's about nothing, and that has its place. That's all well and good, but at the same time, it's like we're all living in the same reality. Yeah, comedy is derived from mocking that reality, and how it's so everything is so absurd on its own now that it's very difficult to make those absurdities funny because they're just scary.
Yeah. I mean, my ideal show has a person that's like talking about candy bars or buttons, but then there's somebody that does talk about the atrocities of the world, and there's somebody that's like, I was abused or whatever. So it's like I kind of like, I don't want it to be too much of one thing.
Sure.
I do want the one guy that's like pisses half the people off because he's not even talking about anything real. He's talking about Skittles. I'm like, I want the Skittles guy in there because like, it does get to be a bit much, you know.
Take my wife, please. Like, just like so much of that. It's such a varied art, like in the way you're talking about.
Just like what we call comedy is like we talk about it like it's one thing, but it's like
so many things,
and it's becoming more. I think like even in the '90s with Seinfeld, it was still kind of like one. I guess there's the alt folks that rose out of the '90s, and now it's like it can be so many different things. I think Asheville tends to be pretty alt, but I really like going to like Knoxville or the Tri-Cities or somewhere where people are kind of saying a lot of shit that would get them thrown out of a show here, but it's like, oh yeah, there is a lot of different ways people laugh, and like I don't need to bring my Asheville snobbery to this place where everybody went to church on Sunday, and it's just a different culture, like. But I mean, like, hasn't there always been so much horrible shit? I mean, I know it's definitely more now, but it's like I think at least part of the problem is that like you can hear about all of it. So that's
everybody is more aware of everything,
and our brains.
Less of it is happening in the shadows in boardrooms and stuff. More of it is happening just right out in the open.
Yeah,
and that in and of itself is a good and a bad thing because it's like people are more aware, they're more informed. But also, you can't get paralyzed by the darkness and just focus solely on that as a human because there's enough of it out there that you totally could. You could just wallow around in the filth and just feel like shit and hate everything and hate everybody and think everything's awful and you're the sky is falling. The sky is falling. Like, but at the same time,
and you'd be right. But it's like. Life is short.
You still got to go get peanut butter from the grocery store, dude. Like you still got to wipe your ass. You can't just lay around in it. As much as that might feel like the thing to do as a natural response. But I'm going to say this for the 7th time. It's weird. It's such a weird thing.
Yeah. I guess it's just going to keep getting weirder. I don't know.
Right.
Like I've started interacting with AI, just I'm a late adopter to everything. I got a cell phone late, social media late, but like I do eventually go, all right, like I write code for a living, so I got to use that tool, but I've never asked it to help me write jokes or anything like that. Yeah. Like, I mean, I just feel like, I don't know, like I still have some line where I'm like, that's coming from me. I try to read old books and write stuff and talk to people.
Yeah.
I find it interesting, but I don't know. I mean, last year I said I'd never even use AI.
Right.
Do you use AI?
I don't. Yeah. I haven't. Like when the generative like DALL-E and stuff first started hitting the scene, I made a bunch of goofy images and things, like playing with the prompts and trying to figure it out. But it's like as more and more information came out about how AI, like the generative AI, because AI is how characters, NPCs fight you in video games. It's how some cancers are detected. It's how, like AI as a term is very
broad,
vague and broad, and it encompasses many different things. But like the large language model AIs, your Chat GPT, your Open AI, whatever theirs is called, Grok on Twitter, like
Claude,
all those different things where it's like that's all well and good, and it's a tool that could be used for people, but the way it's being implemented now robs things of authenticity in a way, and it uses so much fucking electricity and water that it's like, Jesus, dude.
That's a problem.
What the fuck? Like, there are cities in America where rolling blackouts are just going to be the norm to feed these data centers. And it's like, nobody fucking lives there.
Yeah.
Nobody's drinking that water.
Yeah.
It's just evaporating off into the ocean,
Yeah.
removing it from the fresh water pool. And it's like, you know, it's not today or a year from now or 2 years from now, but, you know, who wants to be chasing down tanker trucks that may or may not have water in them, like fucking Mad Max?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
who wants to do that?
I love the 2 new Mad Max movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen them yet.
Oh.
I've seen all the old
There
ones,
is-
and they're like on my list of things to watch.
They're
but
good.
I
I
haven't
think they're
checked
both
them
on
out.
Netflix right now. I mean, it's just a fun, fucking fucked
Yeah.
up. Like, yeah, I mean, I think they did it justice by making it like different enough. They're not trying to like do the
Right.
same stories. But yeah, water tanker just going through these strange, you know, hang gliders that are like
Yeah.
steampunk together with weird I mean, it's just so fun. Like, because I can't really watch like The Walking Dead or anything where people are being real sadistic to each other anymore, because I have kids and I do have to be like, I gotta like make it to work and, you know,
Yeah.
act like there's gonna be a tomorrow.
Yeah.
But Mad Max is like, it's fun enough, like
Yeah.
it's like action enough to where
Yeah.
like I just the Furiosa one, I watched it twice in a row, which I never do. I was
Yeah.
just like a lot of fun.
I'll have to like move those up in my queue because
I like action sometimes because it's like what you're saying about just the doom, like it's like a good, like a well done like dumb movie, you know, it's just like
RoboCop is like my go-to example of like
Yeah.
that type of like a lot of action, 100% satire, very ridiculous, over the top and silly, and it's like every day we get closer and closer to like
Yeah.
that type of
I haven't seen it since like
reality.
it was new, but
you should go back and watch RoboCop. It's
prophetic.
it's pretty fucking ridiculous. It really is. Like just a lot of the little stuff in there, and that's what I like about like action movies like that. I always go back to like 80s and early 90s for stuff like that because it's like very just way over the top and ridiculous and fun. It's stupid and silly.
My favorite like trilogy is the Nick Cage 90s ones. You got Con Air,
Yeah,
Face Off,
yeah.
and The Rock. I
Okay,
think those are
yeah.
like, that's like my, like I saw him when I was a really stupid, uncultured teenager. I loved him, and then I went through all these pretentious like, I watch French movies now, and now I'm like, yeah, Con Air is fucking
No, Con Air,
Face Off. I mean, it's so good. It's
Yeah.
so fun.
just ridiculous premises for things that like the whole time through you can be like, well, that's not how they do that, and
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
that would never happen.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't do what.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, all right. Goodbye, Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
just go hang out out there.
Yeah.
like Con Air was one I watched as a kid that really stuck with me. Very very ridiculous, over the top.
Yeah.
Just love that type of stuff
Yeah.
for sure.
Con Air, you know, they just started with the word. They're like, let's make the worst,
Yeah,
spend the most money on the worst.
movies where they worked backwards from the
Yeah,
title.
there's like Con Air, like,
Face Off.
right. Yeah.
So what happens?
Yeah.
They switch faces. Like, what?
And then they get in a fight on a boat at the end where you're like, give me my face back. No. It's
I'm
explosions.
punching my own face. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
yeah. Comedy, action movies, summertime, tetherball.
Yeah. Yeah, you ever play tetherball?
A time or two.
Yeah.
I've played a little tetherball casually at a youth group meeting at church.
Yeah. You grew up religious? Or just like going to at least showing up once in a while?
I grew up pretty religious. I kind of had like half and half. Like my mom's family, Southern Baptist, very religious. I went to church every Sunday, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, you still got the shame and guilt in you?
I've kind of shaken a lot of that off because at our house, in the day-to-day, very secular. You know, like my mom would read the Bible sometimes, but she never forced anything on us. And like once I got to high school, I didn't want to go to church all like that anymore, so I didn't, and I wasn't made to. And like as I've interacted with the world, I have become starkly the opposite of that. Like I wouldn't say I'm anti-religion in that way, but a lot of the bullshit to your face, like just I personally feel like a lot of the worst people use religion as a shield to hide their fucking grossness.
Oh yeah,
and
it's the classic.
And that hypocrisy, I can't sit with.
Yeah, I hate that too. I mean, I wouldn't want to live in a world probably as much where like nobody believed in God or prayed, just because it's like, I don't know, like
that'd be strange.
Yeah,
in and
it's
of
like
itself.
we've just kind of had like the idea that it's like we're all kind of part of something. You should be nice to your neighbor. That's good.
There's definitely
I went to a progressive
elements.
church, so but then like I don't know if you got like shamed if you don't. You're gonna be fucking lake of fire.
It was fire and brimstone.
And in those years where your brain's forming and they're just like putting that in there. It's like, I mean, that is just
it's a lot.
It's
a lot.
I mean, because it's
well, and you end up having to compartmentalize, like the life I lead with my friends at school is one way, and we're all watching Aqua Teen and laughing about our dicks or whatever, but at Christmas you can't say fart because that's Nana don't like that. You can't say no. You can't. Don't even bring this up because we're not even going to talk about that. Like it's just this weird way of being inauthentic, and it's like I try and want and strive to be the most myself I could possibly be, and not an asshole. And I feel like the duality of that kind of makes you an asshole. To an extent, it can. Like, there's definitely people that are religious and go to church, and they're perfectly lovely people. They want what's best for everybody. They got no hate in their heart, et cetera, et cetera. But, they're buddies with a lot of people who are exactly the opposite of that. And it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a very strange, restrictive thing, I feel like, in a lot of instances, but not necessarily, like, not all. It's, generally speaking. It's, that partly informs my comedy sometimes, too. Like, the preacher bit I did, it was basically like an inverted preacher. Like, it was fun because I would get Christians with it because I would talk about I started off by going, you washed in the blood, you washed in the blood, you washed in the blood. And then I'm like, amen, can I get an amen? Isn't it wonderful to be washed in the blood of our dark Lord and Master, the Snake God King? And I made up a name for it and everything, and then just went into this super dark direction of like, beheading animals and fucking bile and just as much dark imagery as I could put into it as that character. And it's like I would watch people's faces go from being like, all right, this dude's about to talk about the lamb. This is about to be some comedy I'm here for. And then they're like, all right, we might go. I think we're going to go.
So what do you like? Did you always have the skill to like, if you click into it and you were kind of just riffing and you got articulate words and imagery that you don't need to prepare in advance? Is that something you had talking shit with your friends before comedy, or is that something
Yes and no, like to an extent, but it has developed more over time that I'm able to like riff in that way.
Don't ever just like blank out? Because I feel like if I try to riff too much,
sometimes
it's just like, oh fuck, I probably should have
sometimes
prepared some words.
Like if I don't have a direction to go, like all my sets are bullet points of just this idea and that idea or whatever, and I expand from there. But if I don't have anything, like if I don't have anything I've been kind of ruminating on or like mulling over, then I might run into a spot where I'm like, fuck everybody, I just ran out. Anyways.
Which is kind of a punchline in itself.
Sure. I try to play it off as much as possible.
I think if you do it like several times, like, I don't have anything more for this, but like one of those can be like fun.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
I didn't expect that at the end. It's a basic, I mean, that's a punchline.
Yeah.
It's like a meta punchline.
It's definitely a skill set that I've increased. And like doing the nasty hooks helped with that, and just like doing comedy more and like trying to think of things that are funny in general. Like I don't sit around trying to write jokes for the most part. Because I lock up. if I sit down and try to be like, this is a funny joke,
Yeah.
then I'll lock up. And
It's not worked for me either.
A lot of times I'll have shit come to me as I'm falling asleep. Like right as I'm drifting off to sleep, I'll be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And I'll have to mull it over real quick and be like, do I get my phone and make a note of this, or do I try to remember it tomorrow? Very rarely is it possible to remember one tomorrow. But every once in a while, I'll be eating breakfast and go, oh yeah, that's right. I was thinking this. Let me write this down and try to expand it.
I love that because a lot of people say write in the morning. There's a morning pages thing, and I think that's like you're talking about the other edge of that when you kind of offload this persona and you go into waking life, what a version of you, and the edge is a really interesting spot for ideas when you're kind of like you're just starting to like stop being the guy that's like do the laundry and clean the thing and blah blah blah, and then you're kind of drifting into that.
If you can fully relax your brain.
Yeah.
And just whatever comes.
Especially if you're into the kind of comedy where you like to find it on stage, that's improvisation. That's like jazz or something.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like the yin and yang where it's one side is like Beatles songs where you like they're written perfectly, and the other side's like freeform jazz where you're not even in the key. It's just like. And I think comedy has that too, where it's like the beautiful one line, like Mitch Hedberg, just like every word. I'm like yes, but then it's also like some maniac just
going nuts.
Yeah, it's like that's like fucking like both sides, And then and when you fall asleep, you're kind of like in that place in the yin and yang where you're crossing from the conscious to the subconscious, and that's a realm of vast creativity.
Well, and it's like like I mentioned earlier, a lot of times stuff comes to me when I'm taking a shower or driving or taking a shit, like things that are automated processes where my brain is able to just wander.
Yeah.
Because like
manual labor or something.
Right. Exactly. Cutting the grass, whatever, like that sort of thing. Like it's easy to like your brain will drift, and like I'm almost positive I have ADHD. I'm undiagnosed.
Same.
But I have like all the fucking symptoms of the shit. Like
Same.
I'm easily distractible. I can zone out. Like I'll not hear when people are speaking to me. Like all kinds of stuff that just falls under that umbrella. And I find that my brain works best when I try not to tether it. If I try not to tether it and put it in a box, then I'm more able to find things. But that's most easily achievable if the rest of me is occupied with something.
Yeah.
But it's something so autonomous, something so automatic that I can just do it without thinking, and then my brain will be like, well, what about, whatever, or blah, 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 or what if this person met that person, or this scenario, and it just jumps from subject to subject to subject to subject so quick without the interconnectivity, but you pull things out of that. But that's something I have to watch about on stage too, and it's, going back to stuff we were talking about earlier with newer comics, is like the audience can't read your mind. So I could go from talking about this crazy thing that's happening that I perceive to be horrible and connected to this thing over here. But if I don't connect those dots for you guys, I'm going to go over here and they're going to be like, he's talking about pickles now. What is he talking about pickles for? I don't understand.
Because to me, pickles are the same as genocide. Like, you didn't walk us through the...
Right, exactly. So there's a nuance there of like, being in that space of like working with your own brain, but also making sure people can follow along.
It's cohesive and structured enough to where people know what the fuck you're talking about. I mean, I think that was my main reason for wanting to do comedy and speaking, is because just sensing that like I have all these perspectives and things, but people don't know what I'm talking about. I can at least tell they're not. So, comedy is like you kind of learning that skill of connecting the pickles to genocide. Yeah. And people are like, I never thought about it, but they are the same.
Right.
And you're like, yes.
There's something there. there's some connective tissue between these things.
But I like I call it fuzzing out. Like I'll do this thing where like developed all these weird habits over the years where I'll come out here, I'll play drums along to something in headphones, and I'll just like record on a phone of just like me playing drums for 30 minutes. And then I'll bring it inside and I'll put on like a movie I've seen 100 times. I'll put in like Big Trouble in Little China with the sound down, and then I'll play the drums that I just played, and I'll hold a guitar and just kind of play chords too. So there's all these different things happening, and then I'll have a notepad by me, and I'll think of like things from it's kind of like almost falling asleep space where I'm not laser focusing. I'm letting myself fuzz out into the ether. And then sometimes some of the things that come out, it's a very enjoyable experience, regardless of whether I bring something back to this world. But sometimes the ideas from that place are like interesting ideas.
Yeah.
That it is like the pickle and genocide, or in that realm they are connected. It's like the formless. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's so hard to put words on a lot of this podcast is trying to put words on like the unnameable.
Yeah.
But I love that. That's the space, you know?
Yeah. The fugue area of vagueness and interconnectivity that like because
good art makes that like you put it into a voice.
Tangible.
Yeah, it's tangible.
It's palpable.
And
People
you can take it in,
process it.
So it's like, how do I get that like my experience of the ethereal, nonsensical shit into some sentences with periods?
Just trying to pull things out of the ether down into something that.
And most of it never works, but then over years and just reps, and you come up with, there's like 5 minutes that like most people seem to know what I mean. You know, I started with all this cloud of words, and now I actually have some bits, and it takes so hard, it takes so long, but it's like it feels good. I don't know, it keeps me from being depressed probably as much as I would be. Or it's like the idle mind. You know?
The cloud of words is interesting because like you could fall into the trap of. You're no longer doing comedy. You're preaching. You're proselytizing. You're ranting, and it's like a rant that's funny is great. Yeah. But a rant that's just a rant, not so much. Yeah. Like it's unhinged, and then you also could fall into the trap of like, and I've seen comics do this, and it's always unfortunate where it's like. I've got all these big ideas and I know how to articulate them, and everybody's going to get it and process it and know how smart I am, and they're going to come pat me on my fanny because I'm just so smart and brilliant and have figured it all out. And it's like, you're not smarter than the room, dude. Like you just got to like, that's not how that works. Yeah.
The truly smart comedians, like I say this all the time, but like Norm Macdonald, I love Norm Macdonald. To me, he's a very brilliant person. Not playing a brilliant guy. You don't gain anything from playing somebody that's talking down to everybody. No. Occasionally, maybe somebody like Bill Maher can be like, listen up, you idiots. I know the news. But I don't, that's not my style, you know? Right. So it's like, if you're truly smart, you know you don't gain anything by talking down to people. People up there talking about their degrees and shit. Right. Like, I'm going to explain the world to you guys.
And it's like, no, dude, you're just supposed to be funny.
Yeah. And then later on, maybe I might actually change my perspective. But it's not because you were acting smart.
Sure.
I do not want to hear anyone ever act smart. And we got for a bit of that here. People get excited about being smart. Oh, yeah.
Nashville. Absolutely. There is an element of that. And we have it down in Greenville, too. It's a weird phenomenon that happens where comics are like, well, I've just got to people just have to know. I'm just like, let me force it in there. And it's like that same thing with like the big, heavy topics. It's that same dynamic of like, it's very masturbatory. It's very
who's this for? This is for you.
Exactly.
This should be for them.
And it's like, if you can do that and make it funny and it's actually funny and reproducible, sure. But if you're just up there trying to use all the $10 words, you know, maybe shut the fuck up. Yeah. Do something funny. Yeah. Say balls. Go up there and be dumb. Like my favorite type of comedy is like the butter guts that I talked about. Where like for me personally, like the most fun that it is when I can say something so absurd and ridiculous and out of left field, and it works in the thing that I'm doing. It flows with everything. It catches everybody off guard, and it's funny. It's funny.
It takes more confidence to be a grown person talking about butter guts than it does. Like there's a defensiveness or an insecurity in trying to like use big words. Like I immediately go, all right, this person's like trying too hard, and I'm not into it.
Be dumb.
Yeah, be dumb. Be
Go
silly.
Up there and be dumb.
Yeah, that's smarter and more confident to me is to be dumb.
Well, and smart people I believe can kind of read that is smart, that you are purposefully doing a thing. Like it people with intelligence to an extent can kind of inherently know, like, oh, tongue in cheek, ha ha ha.
Yeah,
this guy's not a fucking moron.
Yeah, they're smarter than we think. I mean, I'm always kind of reminded of like I'll like leave a part out of a bit that I thought they needed, and then they'll still just get it, and I'm like, okay, Sometimes I think I need to explain things, like I'm kind of accidentally am kind of being a little too clever or smart, whereas. Yeah, let them just pause and let them kind of.
Or too expositional. I have that problem sometimes where it's like I'm trying to set a thing up with all the context. And it's like all the context isn't fucking funny.
Yeah. And they might not need it.
Just a nugget or two of context. Bullet points. Boom, boom, boom. Like, but it's difficult to do that like when you're trying to harness an energy and tell a story and hit an angle, but it's like a fine line where it's like, you know, is everybody following along or am I boring everyone? Like, you gotta mix those things to where it's like people have enough to keep up and follow along, but not be like, all right, guy.
Yeah, it's been a while since I laughed. Like, where the fuck is this? Yeah.
I feel like I'm learning. Very fun.
Yeah. I don't know. That seems like we're at an hour 40 minutes. That seems like a good place. You want to wrap it up there?
Sure, man. You're the boss.
All right, dude. I think this is a great episode.
I had fun.
Me too.
How about you guys?
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. COVID fucked up the handshakes.
No, I know. I've been doing fist bumps for 4 years now. So it's like handshake. I'm like, oh, fuck.
No, that's like every time I go up to stage, we do that like 9 times now, and then it ends with somebody like doing this. Fucking okay. All right. Thanks, Travis.
Hey.
Bye.